Hello and welcome to episode 48 of the Growing Up Gaming Podcast. My name is Mike, your host, and joined by the Agumon to my tie, Brandon. Brandon, we started watching
Digimon throwback.
Yeah, Amy's been watching Digimon, so I figured I'll throw it in there. I'll throw it in there. Amy loves Digimon.
I was saying, what a random fun fact.
Yeah, I don't know why, but her and her brother just grew up with like huge Digimon fans. If anyone has a Xbox with Game Pass right now, you actually get 75 days of Crunchyroll for free. So we,
That's
we ended
actually
up,
awesome.
yeah. So I ended up signing up because I've always been curious about Crunchyroll. So I ended up signing up, and Amy's just been like plowing through Digimon, and she has also been plowing through this other show called Fruit Basket. It's like I don't know I don't know. It's some weird anime.
Sounds fruity.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but it's okay. She loves it. So with that, Brandon, welcome.
Yeah, Crunchyroll's sick.
Yeah, it is pretty
I
good.
had it for years.
Oh, really?
Eventually had to cancel. Yeah, and then I eventually canceled it because I'm like, I don't have time to do anything. Nonetheless, watch anime anymore.
Yeah. I just wanted to get it as an easier way to watch Hajime no Ippo because I got to finish off the show still.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's have a surprising, just total side tangent. We haven't even started the episode, but they have a surprising amount of like not a lot of dubbed shows. It's a lot of all it's all subtitles, which is like it's amazing.
OG
like that's,
subtitles.
Yeah, how you're supposed to watch it, but then also very hard to do other things while watching a show.
Yeah, that was part of the problem with like trying to keep up with it because like a lot of the time the English dubs are so bad that you don't want to listen to that, so you want to do the Japanese with the subtitles, but then you have to do full concentration. You can't even like text on your phone and then or play a phone game and you miss everything. Yeah, it's a tough life.
Nobody got time for that, Brandon. But either way, buddy, welcome to episode 48, my man. We are closing in on episode 50, the big 5-0. We got some amazing things prepped up. But for today, Brandon, we have a pretty action-packed episode. So we are kicking things off in the news, as always, and talking about Nintendo's next generation console, Brandon.
Ooh, baby.
So the reviews are coming through. Not the reviews, sorry. The previews, the leaks, the talking through the vines, Brandon, are they're all coming through now, and we have a potential release date for the Switch 2. Some details coming down the pipeline about what we can potentially expect, and I am very excited because
I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, I know the Switch is so awesome, but it's like, to get that a little bit more beefed up, sign me up, sir.
1000%.
Besides that, Brandon, Netflix is dipping its toes into the streaming realm of video games.
Ooh,
so moving over,
no pun intended, dipping the toes in that nice stream.
Realistically, though, if there is a company that probably should be good at getting game streaming, Netflix is probably pretty up there. And then after that, big guy, I know that Baldur's Gate is the talk of the town. It is not my personal cup of tea. I know you are absolutely like you are tingling for it, Brandon. But we got some pretty awesome, crazy stats and just everything going on in the world of Baldur's Gate. Spoiler alert, and or potentially to stick along. But Brandon, did Baldur's Gate become in the top 10 of Steam's most concurrent played games of all time within its first week?
God damn. How does that metric even work? It's only been a week.
Buddy, we will get to that later on. So either way, you'll have to hang out and see how we end up. But besides that, Brandon, we are going to be jumping into first 5 for Remnant 2. And then Brandon has his review of Jedi Survivors.
Yeah. Much delayed since it came out in April.
Hey,
but
that's okay.
Still, hey, we got to it.
We got it, big guy. And then after that, buddy, we're going to be wrapping up the show with some indie love, and we're talking about Venba, an amazing indie game all about Indian cooking, and probably, spoilers, one of the most heartfelt games that I've ever played this year. So with that, Brandon, with no further ado, let's get down to business. How are you, my friend? What is going on in the realm of Brandon?
Well, Michael. So actually earlier, in between these episodes, me and Mike had a nice little hangout night and talk some stuff for the future, all that good stuff.
Much overdue.
And I learned a most disturbing fact about our dear host here, Mr. Michael. Michael doesn't like pumpernickel bread. It really fucking hit. It really fucking hit me hard. I'm like, how the fuck don't you like pumpernickel bread? It's fucking delicious. Have you never had like a pumpernickel loaf with like that dill dip in the middle? It's fucking great.
No, those things always creep me out.
Why does it creep you out? It's
I don't know.
Bread bowl.
Okay, bread bowls are pretty hype. But like I don't know. I think it's just like pumpernickel as a bread. Just the look of it does not look nearly as appealing as like any other
Sounds
loaf.
real racist, Mike.
But like pumpernickel bread bowls though are pretty hype. But I don't know because it's just what's it called? Like clashing colors. It's like that dark brown with like the bright.
Not helping your case.
Shut up, Brandon.
Welcome
With
back
like
to
the
1940s.
with the bright green spinach dip. It's just like nah, they don't work. Those colors that it just does not do it for me.
It's okay not to like things, but pumpernickel's awesome, and
Yeah.
you should check your soul out.
Fun fact. I have a fun fact for you, Brandon, about bread bowls.
Yes.
You know how bread bowls came about?
I don't.
So back in the day when food was very scarce and most of the time people ate stale bread. So what they ended up doing was ripping out the center, putting in some form of liquid, whether it's a soup, whether in anything else, to loosen and soften the bread so then they can eat the soup and then consume the bread after.
That's just good planning right there.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Genius. Yeah. Genius. Some dude in like ancient Greece in some form of like prison cell is just like, guys, I got it.
Make him the warden. Yeah.
So,
oh man,
there you go.
Yeah,
Growin Up Gaming, your one-stop shop.
Loaf.
Yeah, Growin Up Gaming, your one-stop shop for bread loaf and bread bowl facts.
But more importantly, on that night, we watched a movie that's been getting some like backlogged love. Like I hadn't really heard of it before, and then just out of nowhere, a couple weeks ago, I heard about it from all kinds of people. A very, very fun spooky ooky movie called Barbarian. And not to be confused with Barbarians, which I think is actually just a movie about barbarians, which Mikey, I think, fell into that pitfall.
Yes, it did.
But Barbarian 2021, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
was a top tier, like kind of film fest, like like a film fest type of movie, really.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic, in my opinion. For those of you that don't know what it's all about, it's probably better you don't.
Yeah.
Because as much as I heard about it was that like, all right, a girl, like first scene, girl shows up in the middle of the night. It's pouring rain. She shows up to her Airbnb that she's rented in a sketchy neighborhood. But surprise, they've been double booked. Somebody else is already renting the Airbnb.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then that is all they tell you, that's all I heard. That's all I've been told before I watched it. I started it. I'm like, wow, this movie is really amazing. Even though I feel like this is just going to turn into some type of like domestic horror type situation.
Yeah.
Which I don't really care for personally. But like it actually goes way past that and takes it in a lot of places that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was super high on the spooky ooky scale. Like I don't think there's no looking over your shoulder when you're walking through the hallway at night back to your room after you watch a movie. There's no like, oh shit, that could happen to me. Like there's none of that. I didn't find it super spooky, but like super creepy and unsettling.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I can wholeheartedly agree with that, Brandon. Again, similar to you, it's like I've been really wanting to watch that movie for quite a while, and then I haven't watched it, but I never dove into what is this movie about. And a part of it is just like I just didn't want to spoil it for myself. But similar to what Brandon was doing, like if you do enjoy horror movies, and I would probably put this one more in the thriller category. But if you just enjoy that, like if you want to get your heart racing a little bit, I would just go in blindly. The movie has,
100%.
let's just say it has a couple different acts and like it just really kind of throws the audience for a wrench. But really, really solid cast. So Georgina Campbell, she plays the main character, and then Bill Skarsgård, Mr. It himself, the man with the eye, if you will. He is also in it, and then the one and the only Mr. Justin Long is also he's also part of the film as well, and he plays a absolutely fantastic role. So if you like movies, I would probably maybe put it akin to like It Follows. Regarding the like spooky level of it, like it's
okay,
it will make your skin crawl a little bit. There's definitely some intense scenes, but at the end of the day, it's just a very, very fun watch. So highly recommend. Right now, Brandon, it is sitting at 93% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 71% audience score. So,
which is not really surprising, because this is a movie that is like, this was made as somebody's baby. This was somebody's art project. Like I imagine there was like a film class. They could do a whole you could do a full seminar on this movie of just breaking down all the different theory. Like, I don't even want to get into any of the underlying tones or theories or anything like that, because that might give away some shit. But like, even then, it's also, we don't have enough time for that. Like,
Yeah,
you could psychoanalyze the shit out of this movie.
yeah,
I thought it was really good.
yeah.
So definitely in the artsier side. So I see why critics would be like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And I
Where
was
not every person that watches it is going to be like, oh,
So
okay.
what I was telling Brandon when we were hanging out, and by the way, Brandon, very awesome hangout. When I
Thank you,
was
sir.
initially the first time I was actually trying to watch this movie, I ended up finding Barbarians with an S, and we started the movie. I was super excited, and very quickly we're like, guys, I don't think this is the right movie. It was not scary, and it was just like some weird one. But the Barbarians with an S is currently sitting at a 14% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and 55 on the Tomato Meter. So clearly not the same movie, but it's okay. We ended up shutting it off, and Brendan and I finally filled that gap in my spooky
Yeah.
movie love. So it was pretty good.
Yeah. We put the bread back in your bread bowl.
No, the soup.
Yeah. um, yeah, man. So apart from that, obviously, I played a lot of Jedi Survivor, which we'll get into a little bit later in the episode. Once I beat that, I got sucked into the hole that is Remnant 2. So I've definitely dabbled some fingers in there. So I'm going to go into that later on first five, which is actually going to be shortened down now. First five under 5 minutes. Try and keep
Ooh.
it nice and breezy. Give a nice little feelers, and so that there's still some hunger for the review. Uh, Fun fact: I actually found this week, or I guess last week. PlayStation put in a new review or a new feature that I didn't notice, or at least it's new to me. But essentially, at the bottom right hand of your screen, it'll show your total playtime
Yeah.
for the game. So, and this is on the home screen. Basically, when you hover over the game, you get those sweet graphics and like the music from the game. At the bottom, it'll show you your total playtime, which is quite funny when you go to like someone's house and you see their Diablo playtime versus like, because a lot of games like whatever 10, 15, 20 hours for a normal game, but you go to someone that plays COD, you'll see like 1,000 hours and you're like, oh my god, you could have learned 4 languages in this amount of time. Like, it
Yeah.
really actually hits. But yeah, so I'm sure you can turn that off if you don't want to see that, but I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think that's
uh
an awesome little feature. You toss that on, and
oh,
especially because
definitely.
I feel like it's like sometimes your time gets skewed of like, yo, I got to be playing this game for like 20 hours, and you look and it's like 11. You're like, oh, all right, not as bad. I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it also kind of was nice even for like Jedi Survivor, for example, where I broke it up over quite a few sittings and playthroughs, and I'm like, well, I did like a ton of side stuff, a lot of the side mini games and whatever. So I'm like, how long did I actually put into it? So it's kind of nice to see that like see that number to give a kind of a good estimation of like what I actually spent into this game.
Yeah, nice guy.
And the last thing I actually made a little note about was the series that nobody asked for has finally come out. Brought to us through Peacock. We have the Twisted Metal.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, it was actually released on Peacock apparently, but I think you can get it on Paramount Plus as well.
Yeah, I've been
Um,
trying to find it in Canada, but under
oh, so it's on. I think it's on Paramount because I remember I started something up. It was either Crave or Paramount, and it had an advertisement at the top saying like Twisted Metal, watch it now.
yeah.
Um, which, yeah, I wasn't really hyped for it at the beginning or whatever, and I've heard some good things now, and I'm still like, I'll see if I watch it.
Yeah.
But it did make me think of one thing where I'm like, well, this is an officially licensed PlayStation shit, like franchise. Why the hell have we not gotten PlayStation Media released to PlayStation Plus tiered members? You know, like,
Mhm.
yeah, okay, HBO got Last of Us. It's a Sony, like it's a Sony production, Sony story. Why not do a nice nod to your fans and be like, all right, on the top tier of PlayStation Plus, you can stream Last of Us, you can stream like Twisted Metal,
Yeah.
you can stream, and it doesn't have to be all of Sony's media, obviously, because Sony has a shit ton of studios. They make a lot of movies, they make a lot of music,
Yeah.
but like specifically the video game stuff, it'd be nice to throw a bridge loan in there to be
Yeah.
like, hey, you can watch like the new adaptations of Nathan Drake
Yeah.
and like
Or
his adventures.
Ratchet and Clank movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where it's not a robust library, but there's like 15 things that they've done or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just those, and you can just access those at your leisure on your console. And I feel like that would actually boost up a lot of the viewing for, like, say, Twisted Metal. If Twisted Metal was available to everyone that had PlayStation Plus, then the sales figure, or not sales figures, the viewing figures would go up, I think, a lot, because I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this series because it's kind of gotten a little bit of mixed reviews. It's gotten a little bit of a soft entry, not a lot of hype build up for it. And a lot of the people that grew up playing Twisted Metal are wondering, how the hell are you going to make this into a story as
Yeah.
opposed to just ex-cons murdering each other in like mechanical warfare.
Yeah.
Like it never had a story really. And like, especially because some of the characters were fucking like fucked up. Like, wasn't Sweet Tooth like a child rapist and murderer
Yeah, that was
who had an
the
ice cream truck?
yeah,
Like,
and
you know
then
what I mean?
Axel was the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but like it's just, it was just very interesting. So I still may actually give the first episode a try because I have access to it. But at the same time, I'm also balls deep in so many other things right now.
Yeah.
Like I've got Witcher season 3 to do, and oh shit, I totally forgot the most important thing. I can't remember if we talked about it last time. I'm on the final episodes of Barry.
Oh, nice. No,
Oh
we
my
haven't. I don't
god.
think we have talked about it, but
No?
Brandon and
Okay,
I.
so I will quickly wrap this up then.
Actually, wait,
On that.
Brandon, to pause before you go
Yes.
on to Barry. I will say,
Yeah.
so I looked it up. Twisted Metal season 1 right now, 70% on the tomato meter, as well as a
Okay.
94% audience score, and that's with over 1,000 reviews. So like,
Damn.
that's
So
pretty
it's
good.
doing good
Yeah.
for how many people aren't talking about it. Those are really good
Yeah, that's
reviews.
pretty good. And then speaking of Sony and I guess other things, Gran Turismo movie coming out very soon. If not, I can't remember if it is already out, but otherwise it is coming out within the next week or two. August
Fair
25th is
enough.
when it releases. So next week there. But currently, for those who have seen it, I guess critics, everything else alike, currently sitting at 60% tomato meter, 98% from an audience score, and that is with over 100 audience verified ratings.
Jesus. So
So
like the people that are seeing them are liking them. So
yeah,
like it would be nice if they, even if they just did a delayed release, like a
yeah,
TV
yeah,
show that's
yeah,
available on a streaming site, whatever, but a
yeah,
paid movie in theaters, do like give us the Disney treatment, like
yeah.
give it a month
No, I'm with you,
and then
buddy.
you can get it at home or something.
I am with you,
But
sir. I think that's actually a pretty good idea. I'm not gonna lie, buddy. Typically,
yeah,
I don't agree with
thank
your
you.
business savvy, but that one is that one is pretty spot on.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
No problem.
Uh, and lastly, yeah, I'll land my plane on Barry because I've recently, like, I started it like when it came out and just kind of moved past it, and I've gone back to double down and rewatch it from the beginning. And I have to say, I thought it then, and I still stand by it now. Season one on its own, like Barry season one, has got to be one of my personal favorite, like picture perfect seasons of television of any variety ever. Like it is so perfect for the people that it hits home with. Like someone like that, like me, that likes dark, dry, witty humor, like dark tones being like the show is about David Hayter is a retired Marine who's now a hitman,
Yeah,
but he also falls in love with acting in LA and wants to become a famous actor at the same time and gets involved with the Chechen mob and like all these gangsters and all these wars. And it's like pure Sopranos, fucking like dark, gritty, like the acting is beyond amazing.
yeah,
Like the acting throughout the whole series is top tier, multiple Emmys, multiple awards, like insane. But the first season is just such a perfect, striking balance of funny, witty characters and like uh and just everything as a like the totality of it is just perfect.
nice.
And obviously season two, everything changes a bit. Season 3 changes 4. Like it slowly gets darker and darker and darker until the comedy is kind of gone. Like where I'm at now, the final episodes of season 4, like there's no comedy. It's just fucking dark. Like it's so dark, but it's great at the same time. And still maintains a little bit of that charm left over from the first season. And because it's only 30-minute episodes, uh, 8 to 10 episodes per season
Yeah,
and only 4 seasons, it's quite short and it's
quick
very
watch,
easy to watch.
quick watch.
Very
Uh,
quick watch, yeah.
I can't confirm. So again, I've never seen Barry before, but Brandon and I we watched what I think the first 2 or 3 episodes. I think the first
Yeah,
three.
2 or 3, I think.
Really, really good. Really funny.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely think I'm gonna go back and toss it on. And like you said, I think when it's like a 24 episode season, it's a little bit crazy to approach. And they're like, oh yeah, don't worry, there's only like 7 seasons, but they're that long.
Yeah.
But if it's like 4 seasons at 8 to 10 episodes a piece at 30 minutes, it's like, oh yeah, That's a perfect
It's
like
amazing.
toss on background, like have it on and just enjoy it.
Yeah, like 100%. Like that's even with the kids and everything, and we've been watching and doing other stuff.
Yeah,
Since you came over, we've gone now through season 1, 2, 3, and almost all of 4.
sick,
It's
crazy,
like I think we have 3 episodes left, and that's it.
just plowing.
Oh, straight plow moves, bro.
The dream, my friend.
Yep. How are you, Mikey? How's things? What's going on in your world? What you've been watching, doing, and yeah.
Things are pretty awesome, dude. So I'll steal, but I know you're gonna plug it, but I'll steal little bit of your thunder. But Grown Up
Ooh.
Gaming, we are one step closer to launching the website, Brandon. So
Oh shit.
the grownupgaming.com should be coming shortly. The one and only Mr. Brandon, the amazing, just absolutely stunning peacock, ended up writing up the very first article that is going to be appearing on the website, and that is a review for the TMNT new movie. Brandon, I don't know,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
maybe give a little quick plug, and then I'll jump into my stuff there. But I don't know, really excited about it. Again, like I think the biggest thing, I haven't played it too much, but there is one thing that I want to bring up because we have not talked about it yet, Brandon. I will give
Ooh,
you a hint.
all right.
It's C of the L, I guess. We did not talk about it yet, but so
Okay.
I'll talk about that in the rundown. But yeah, go ahead, talk about TMNT, and then let's jump, and then I'll
Oh
jump
shit.
into
Yep.
my shit.
So we wrote up the first review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, the Seth Rogen readaptation and re-envisioning of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And to get the full review, it's going to be up on the website in full written fashion. Uh, Spoiler alert, I thought it was fucking incredible. I went in there with very little expectations, didn't really know what to expect at all, and I got way more than I thought I bargained for. Uh, the visuals are absolutely beautiful. Like this, I will be very surprised if it is not nominated for Oscar, like an Oscar for animation movie of the year. It is one of the best animated movies I've ever personally watched. I know there's some pushback from some of the diehard fans out there that love the original, like clunky costumes and like grizzled assassin like turtles. But this one really dips into the fact that they're fucking teenagers and they've never been in a fight in their life. You know what I
So,
mean? Like
yeah,
they've really steer into the fact that like this is their first mission, their first ever encounter with people. Like they obviously are like they're kids, they're scared. They have fears, they have real emotions, they have teen angst, they have teen hormones, aka with what's their
April.
I don't know, like the whole like yeah, like love story with April and
Yeah,
all that good stuff. And like it's just fun. Not to mention the absolutely stellar voice acting cast. Like all the turtles themselves, they do amazing jobs. You've got people like super famous people like Ice Cube is in this. You get pretty sure Kim Kardashian is in there as a voice. Seth Rogen's in there.
yeah,
Jackie Chan out of nowhere, like Jackie Chan just kills it as Splinter.
yeah. The one and only
Uh,
Mr. John Cena, big guy.
and John Cena. Ba, ba, da, ba.
Although I don't
Would
think
have loved.
can you see him though, or like how does that all work?
Well, it's all just like it's all voice acting, right?
No,
It's completely
it was a
completely animated.
John Cena joke.
Oh, okay, got
You
you.
can't see
I
that. That one
so
went
you went
right.
right over
Oh,
my
come on,
head.
Brandon.
I missed that one. Oh god.
You idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is kind of funny. I kind of look over that because the man is a fucking giant. Everyone can see you.
I know that's the whole
Literally
point, Brandon.
everywhere.
That's the
Yeah.
joke around the joke.
Yeah, but I don't know. I haven't watched wrestling in so long.
Whatever, dude.
John Cena was like a young buck when I think when I exited the wrestling circle. But yeah, either way, full breakdown. Go read it, check it out once the website's up. It'll be good.
Yeah.
But on that note, amazing movie. Give it a try. It is great for the family, for people that like turtles, that don't like turtles. It is amazingly well done for the licensed music.
Yeah.
I found that was a big driving point for a lot of the fight scenes and the action sequences in general. The licensed music that they chose to go with it just captures such a great feeling. Like I went to go see it with my wife and she absolutely loved it as well.
Sick.
Like we both just agreed like wow, this is like 10 out of 10, like just excellent movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, every single
Yeah.
person I've spoken to besides those two former Gargonauts of ours, uh, Has all
Yeah,
said absolutely incredible things about it. So
exactly.
I might go see it over the weekend, but otherwise, I definitely intend to see it very soon
Buddy, you
because
got to. You got
I'm
to you got
I'm
to end the controversy.
I'm dying. But I know that's it. And the one who will end the controversy, Amy, will give the final ruling down of of is this Guggernaut seal of approval. 10 out of
Oh
10.
man.
Chicken nuggets, buddy. Dinosaur chicken nuggets
Oh
for
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, triple S class, like top tier. I had no complaints
That's
about the
awesome.
movie.
That's awesome, man.
I and even I don't know, I found too that was like one of the things I didn't get hung up on expecting anything. Whereas like I love some of the twists in the new directions that they took.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to spoil anything or anything like that, but like you get tons of iconic people showing up in the movie and like they're not necessarily the way you're used to them being.
Yeah, which
And those
I'm like
changes,
all
I'm
for.
actually I was completely good with. I was super
Yeah,
happy about them, and, like, I loved being able to see, like, the turtles bro out with somebody that maybe they would have fought in the past.
yeah,
Like, I like that.
it's awesome.
Uh, and then stay tuned for after the credits because you get a glimpse of the next villain because 'cause they're
Yeah.
definitely gonna do a second one.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. They got that TMNT money,
They
buddy.
got that turtle
I
money.
know.
Yeah,
That's awesome. All right,
yeah.
buddy. So on my side, again, I don't have a whole lot, but I will say, I guess the one thing that I played a absolute shit ton, and this is maybe a good time that I wish Switch had what PlayStation had of showing you your playtime. But I played, beat, and honestly am done with Cult of the Lamb.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so
Alright,
I
so
know I don't
tell
wanna.
me your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna spend too much time with it because Brandon has already give an absolutely awesome rundown of his kind of thoughts, his review of Call to the Lamb. Brandon, I know you really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna say I liked it, but I did not like it as much as I thought I was going to.
Oh, maybe I overhyped it.
Yeah, so and I don't think it's just you because I've spoken with a bunch of people who played it and a bunch of people who loved it. And
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, I would say that I would still say I loved it, but I didn't like love it. You know, like
Okay.
my final score of the game, I would probably give it a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I thought
Ooh,
the
okay,
game was
okay.
incredibly well built. The style, I love the style. The story is fun. Like the mechanics of it are all very fun. I think where I
Mhm.
got kind of hung up on it is in a way it was like a little too easy or like I just didn't feel invested in building my cult in like building in the like in
Okay.
building in
Yep.
the cult there. And again, maybe it's just because I was playing it too much all at once, everything else. But again, you can go and like I would finish a run, I would come back, I would just like feed everyone, I would clean up everyone's crap, I would do like a ceremony or a ritual,
Yeah.
I guess, and then just like
Yeah.
go about my day. But there was no real like, oh, I didn't get a big sense of accomplishment when I moved up to like the next tier or when I did other things there.
That
Um,
makes sense then.
yeah,
Like that's half the game.
yeah,
Like I ended up spending more time with my cult when I played it than I did rogueliking.
doing the
So,
dungeon crawl, yeah.
yeah.
So it was still fun to like again build the whole little city. I had my tents and my sleeping bags and shit off to one side, and
Mhm.
then I had my like resource building off to the other. But even that, like by the time I finished the game, I still probably had I would say maybe around like 50% of, if not maybe a little bit more, of my cult of my area that was just not farmed or nothing on it or anything
Oh
else. And like
damn.
I made it through the whole game. I beat the final boss. And again, like I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it. I definitely think anyone who likes roguelikes, definitely check it out. The dungeon crawling aspect is pretty fun. I did enjoy that. The combat was good. The controls are pretty tight. Everything on that side was good, but I think just the more village sim side of it wasn't as crazy. But I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty fun to do some of the rituals and like if someone was
Cool.
talking shit about your cult, like I would
Yeah.
just run the ritual to like sacrifice their ass and then after that because then when you
We can put him
sac
in prison too.
oh no I didn't get the prison. I was a nice
Oh.
leader.
See,
Uh
that's what I was gonna ask too. Did you go evil or nice?
so I
'Cause I did
went
both.
so I went like again I think I went both, but I would probably say I was skewed more on the good side, but it was also
Mhm.
some of them were just like it just didn't make sense to go bad because it's like so far from the like okay well this is going to put me in like a really bad spot so I'm just going to go and do the good one.
Mhm.
basically for the listeners, how it works is every time you level up and you unlock a new ritual, so it can be anything from the whole cult has a feast, and then it raises everyone's health, or everyone's hunger goes to the top, and then it makes everyone really happy. But then you can take like a dark side of it where it's like, okay, every time someone eats whatever, they have to pay you money and just things like that. So there's kind of a good side and a bad side of the coin. But I don't know.
Mhm.
I just found that a lot of the times the good ones were just way better. And then what I would just do is run a bad one. So again, I would sacrifice someone because he was talking shit about my cult. And then right
Yeah.
after I would go and run like, all right, everyone, here's food. And like
Yeah.
and everything was forgiven in Whisktopia was my name of my cult, after the one and only
Whisktopia.
Mr. Whiskey Vincenzo, aka
Oh,
Amy's dog. He was the greatest the goat of all time. So
man. That's what I
Whisktopia.
love too. I love naming the like the little creatures and finding new different skins and building them. Like I went way too far on Animal Crossing on this side of things.
Okay, so
I don't know. I loved it.
you did go deep in that. Like I didn't change any of the names of my
Oh, I named
followers.
every one of them,
Yeah?
and I like yeah, I did everything, and I knew some of them. Like like
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, like that's like Puto over there, and it's because he's a little bitch, and like, and I made him look like a little bitch. Like I had a lot of fun with it.
That's
Some
awesome.
characters were studs, and like I don't know.
See, and I
So
think you
it makes
definitely
sense,
got
man.
more. I think you got more out of that aspect of it. Realistically, the only time I was considering kind of changing the names of people was to
Mhm.
put what their attributes were, so I had a better understanding of like good or bad, or like you know what I mean, like kill or save.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, but besides that, again, I did really enjoy it. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I got it on sale and like definitely worth the money. I would
Mm.
probably say it took me maybe about 12 to 15 hours of kind of run through playtime. Enjoyed of the 12 15 hours, I would still say I got like 10 to 12 hours of just like pure enjoyment. I really liked it, but yeah, I
That's
don't know.
pretty good.
I just don't I feel like coming out of it, I don't have very much interest to go back to it. And again, I'm happy I'm done it. I'm happy I plowed through it, but that's kind of my take.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. At the end of the day, like you said, you got your money's worth. The Gug currency fucking fun factor meteor scare that we don't have a thing for. The movie price ticket, is it worth it? All that shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. We're gonna come up with a name. It passed, you know?
Yeah,
You got
definitely
what
worth
you
it.
said 12 hours
Yeah.
and you got it on sale, the price was right. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Uh and who knows? Maybe if one day you went back and like you played it with like if Amy ever wanted to do it and then she runs the sim and like or you play it with a friend or something and they just get really into the sim side of things. I think that's really where it separated itself.
Yeah.
Because a roguelike dungeon crawler, there's so many. The fun thing is like making the cult, like doing the runs, getting the materials to come back to like your followers and just be like, you know what? I don't even need to leave the village.
Yeah.
Like this is fun enough.
Yeah.
So
Although I don't think
makes sense.
so Amy definitely watched me play the game because I would just be lying on the couch playing it, and she's like, "Are you playing that stupid fucking lamb game again?" I was like, "Yeah." But
Yeah, no dice.
it is a currently sitting at a 79 on Metacritic, and honestly, I think that's right on the money. I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm not angry with
yeah,
that.
I think 79 is definitely right on the money for that.
Yeah. Like I loved it, but I get it. That's not a bad like it's one of those games where it's like a junk food thing. Not everybody likes Doritos, but like if you like Doritos and like or if you're in the mood for Doritos that night and you hit them, it's just like some good shit.
First off, Brandon.
But if you're craving something like sweet and then you have chips, you're just it's good, but it's not really scratching the itch.
I
Doesn't hit that wow factor.
Brandon, I will say I
Yeah.
do not agree with your first statement. Everyone should
Okay.
enjoy Doritos, and and those who
Yeah.
do not enjoy Doritos are just they are. I don't know if they can be Guggernauts. That's like it's like the first rule of being a Guggernaut.
The first row of Gogonauts is you like Doritos.
Indeed.
Yeah. No, fair enough, man.
Either way,
But
so that's about it.
yep.
Again, I crushed through that. Now I'm kind of back onto my backlog of like, okay, things to play. So that's what brought me to the indie love game of today, Venba. But that we will get into later. But yeah, I don't know. Besides that, just jumping in, I think I might finally dive back in, or like at least give a full go through at it's called Have a Nice Death. And that is also
Oh,
a
sick.
like roguelike style game where you play as Death. Very fun, cartoony.
Mhm.
So I'll give that one a go. So
There you go.
there you go, big guy. All right, dude. So that is it from my side. So let's get the ball rolling, and let us dive into in the news and go through that beautiful, beautiful list of all of the news that happened over the last 2 weeks.
All right,
all right, big guy. Let's get down to business. Welcome to In the News, Brandon. And on this episode of In the News, we are kicking things off with the Switch 2. So the murmurs are starting. The people are starting to talk about some of the new features that are coming down the pipeline. And basically, this news initially broke by the Video Game Chronicles, or VGC, as we can kind of call it going forward. But what ended up happening is they caught wind and spoke to some people who actually got some of the dev kits. So dev kits are officially in the wild, and so they spoke to a number of different resources and a number of different people out there. And according to multiple people, that the company is looking to potentially be releasing the Switch 2 in the second half of 2024, Brandon. So we are basically so basically about
1 year out.
Yeah, one year out from where we are kind of currently at. The current rumor right now is that it is going to be bringing the power of roughly about a PlayStation 4. So much higher, much higher than what the current Switch is outputting. Obviously not a PS5, not an Xbox Series S or X, but a PS4 in your hand and like giving developers the ability to kind of like, all right, I'm gonna make a game on PS5 and try and scale it down to PS4 is much more doable than what the current flow is of making a game and trying to scale it down to Switch.
Which I guess kind of makes sense, even like with the new the announcement of Red Dead Redemption being re-released onto Switch and PS4 as a port. I guess they're kind of getting to see how that type of biome works, maybe with the Switch technology. And like even just thinking about that, like what the Switch's power scale is right now is what, like a PS2 Plus or like PS3?
No, PS3.
Maybe?
I think it's a PS3. I would put it at. Yeah.
Okay. So then we're talking about one more console generation. Like, can you imagine what the next Zelda looks like?
Yeah.
With the power of a PS4?
Yeah.
Considering what they managed to pull off with the PS3?
Yeah.
Like, I remember, that was a pretty big jump. Like, the jump from the PS3 to the PS4 felt big. Like, I still remember playing Black Flag and being like, holy fuck, this is next gen. Like, this looks amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And even go. Finish.
I was gonna say, like, and I found the jump between PS4 to PS5 wasn't quite as big. Like, it's still big, but we're getting so good that it's hard to be that much better.
Yeah. Okay.
Where I can picture like PS5 to PS6, if we still have physical consoles by then, is going to be that much more like, all right, like it looked amazing before, it still looks amazing. Yeah. I don't know how much more amazing we can get right now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure people said that about Nintendo, like original Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, so, again, I think I do agree with you. I think going from PS4 to PS5, although like there are definitely games on PS5 that really are starting to like push the limit. Like there's no way Horizon can run at like the 60 frames, like just as beautiful as it is on the PS4, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're also thinking about PS3 to PS4, I would also say is a big jump, especially by the time we got to the end. Right? Like if you think about the end of PS3 was the God of War, right? God of War 3, which looks amazing and still does.
Yeah,
but like the end of PS4 was like Last of Us 2, which was very beautiful. Fair enough. So like imagine
massive jumps.
that jump in the palm of your hand and going into giving people that ability of producing that style of game. And then even right now, like games that were on PS4, so like Doom Eternal, for example, that is currently on the Switch, but it is part of like, the Switch is like, it's called like the Switch cloud streaming, I want to say. So in order for it to run the higher fidelity and kind of bigger, bulkier games, it needs to have an online connection just to kind of bridge the gap between performance. Where again, Doom Eternal was very much like it was a PlayStation 4 game, so like run natively, look perfect, everything along those lines. So super excited on my end to get that bump up in graphical fidelity.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And like I do wonder, because of the whole Project Q thing going on with PlayStation with their handhelds, it kind of went dark. Kind of don't really hear much about it. Hasn't been much more since the price leaks came out through the court cases, it's kind of been dead. Like
Yeah.
nobody's really talked about it because the price points sounded ridiculous. So then if you're thinking that that was going to be able to, because right now we're dealing with a PlayStation Slim, like PS5 Slim,
Yeah.
that's on the horizon, as is Project Q. So then you got to think, all right, you can't release a PlayStation handheld console too close to Switch 2 because you're just going to get absolutely railroaded because it's a new thing versus something that not everybody even wants anyways. So I feel like it's going to be an interesting time over the next, because my opinion or my completely uneducated thoughts on it would be that Nintendo's aiming for a holiday release for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Like October, November, just getting ready for the holidays type of thing, like your Christmas, your Hanukkahs, like all the gift giving bonanzas.
Yeah.
So then you got to think that I guess Sony's going to try and slap their way in there too, maybe at some point. I don't know.
Yes.
So who knows? We're spitballing here.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So I know even as part of the report, basically going with like second half, so that would be from like June on. But a big part of this launch is that they want to make sure that there is actually ample stock for the holiday. So that actually makes me maybe lean towards like either a July or an August. Give that first pass through, get that run going, get everyone buying it, and then also being able to kind of restock for that October, November, December holiday season. So
that would work too.
Yeah, so one of the two, and then obviously like they've been crazy shortages now, PS5, Xbox. Now it's starting to become much more like you can just walk into an EB Games or GameStop or Best Buy and pick one up. But yeah, I think hopefully that's out of the realm there. Now, the sources do say that similar to the Switch One, there will be both handheld and dock mode. I think that makes perfect sense. I do not think Switch or like it isn't Nintendo's interest at all to try and veer away from that ship because clearly it works and it
was beautiful.
Yeah, separates it there. But I will say the one thing that did come up in the report is that the system could potentially launch with an LCD screen rather than an OLED screen. And I think
I wonder why.
I think honestly, I think the problem. No, I'm not going to say the only reason, but I would say the main reason of it is just to try and keep costs down. So if they are going to be adding, if they're going to be adding in all that power, if they're going to be adding everything else, then it probably makes sense just to kind of, all right, cool, let's maybe skim here, and then similar to the first Switch is down the line, they can come out with the OLED model and try and like re-beef it up. So again, these are all rumors. But at the same time, I think things like that do make sense, especially if they wanted to release around that. I don't know. I would say maybe $350, $400 mark,
which makes sense, and that would put it in line with the previous marks for the Switch. And at the end of the day, too, I feel like if the dev kits are out, it's pretty fair to assume that they have the tech, they just haven't maybe locked down the designs, or aren't releasing the designs. But the OLED thing is definitely weird. Like, I imagine, because I have the OLED Switch myself, like that's what I bought because it was an option because it's later in the console lifetime. Like, I found the OLED screen makes such an incredible difference in the handheld capacity. Like, it looks better handheld than it does on my TV because I don't have an OLED TV. So if I'm gonna go get more power, I would happily pay like $50 or $100 more to get the OLED screen because I use a lot of handheld. But then I guess it doesn't make sense for them to launch both. To have like to do what Xbox did with the Series S and the Series X.
Yeah, like an OLED.
You have two kind of competing consoles.
Yeah, the OLED and the normal. Yeah, I think it will come down the line.
Yeah, which I hope that they just slap in the OLED if they can get the price down. But yeah, otherwise I don't know. Then it makes me be like, well, I kind of want to wait. I want to wait for the OLED to come out. And like, am I have to wait a year? Do I have to wait 6, like this, or 5, or whatever it was for this one? Like,
I don't know, man. You say that now until they announce the console with like a fully remastered Breath of the Wild as well as Metroid Prime 4, and you're like, fuck. Damn you, Nintendo.
Nintendo, you got me again, you son of a bitch.
Slimy bastard.
Yeah. Now that they got me in with this Switch, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm all hands on deck for the next one as long as the games are there.
Yeah. It's actually
shit. By the time that happens, man, my little guys, they might be wanting their own.
Ooh, Oh
You
yeah,
never
no,
know.
that's when you give them your old Switch.
You take the
ain't,
old one.
yeah, absolutely, you ain't getting that new one.
No, 100%.
So continuing on, so basically, much like the
Mhm.
predecessor, much like the current Switch, it does appear that it will accept both physical as well as physical like cartridge slot as well as digital download, which is wonderful. Now
Amazing.
backwards compatibility is something that remains unclear. So Nintendo has definitely said that like, hey, we are here to try and serve as much of like I think right now they're at 130 million Switches sold. So it's like,
Holy
hey, we
shit.
want to make sure that as many of those people are taken care of and everything else.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like, is Nintendo going to kind of pull some, I don't know, greasy, slightly greasy maneuvers so that people in a way are like slightly forced to purchase the new console, right?
Honestly, like,
Yeah,
I will say in Nintendo's defense, as much as they are slimy fucks when it comes to the prices
yeah,
of charging
brutal.
still $80 for Breath of the Wild, which fucking ridiculous. It came out on Wii U. Uh, they have historically have been amazing for supporting backwards compatibility. Like I remember I had the original Game Boy all the way back in the day, the big brick cartridges, and I could play those bastards on every handheld console I had up until the 3DS. Like I played through the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy SP, uh, like all of those cartridges still fit. Like they made it sure that you could do it until they just completely switched the formula for the 3DS.
Yeah,
So I want to say that they're not going to screw people, you know?
yeah,
Like the game cartridges, as long as the games that they're developing because of all the extra power aren't required to be bigger because they just can't store it on there anymore.
yeah,
But at the same time, micro SD cards have come so far. You can get like micro SDs with like 100 or 250 gigs and all that shit. Like they're massive.
yeah,
So they probably can do it. In worst case, even what they've done with the past with like those two different like the built-in adapters where you used to be able to play the shorter Game Boy Advance games and the big tick boys from the original Game Boys, and you could plug them both into the same port and they would just auto fit and like adapt.
yeah,
Not auto, they designed it, but like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Where it'd be like, there's a little baby, like, all right, here's the original Switch cartridge, and
yeah,
you put it in this little slot. And then to be like, no, here's the bigger one where you put in the big boy, the Switch 2
yeah.
cartridges. So
And
I'm gonna say that I have faith that they're not gonna fuck us.
yeah,
That's
I
my that's my 2 cents.
I'd be down for that. I think having kind of either the multiple port or it just accepts both. Like you can
Mhm.
slide in the smaller one and then go with a beefier cartridge for Switch 2. I'm
Mhm.
on board, big guy.
Yeah.
So
I think it's shakes
yeah,
all shapes and sizes.
yeah, guy.
It's good move, Nintendo.
So
We'll see.
basically, the final two things that kind of really drive home why the next year or like that second half of 2024 makes a perfect amount of sense. So number one, Tokyo-based industry consultant Dr. Sirkin Toto, and which is like a dope ass name. B,
Yeah, you got to trust them at
yeah,
that point.
absolutely. I would love to be an industry consultant one day, big guy, one day. But basically, so he expects to kind of through his financial analysis, everything else, that hardware sales are expected to fall about 16% next year, or sorry, 16% year over year in the current, like in the next kind of upcoming current fiscal years.
Mhm.
And then software sales expected to fall about 16% as well. So we are on that slight decline. And then basically the other part is the Nintendo loves this mid-cycle area, right? So
Yeah.
when the original Switch was released, it was released 3 years after the PS4 and Xbox One. And basically, as of 2024, the second half for this one, it will be actually 4 years since PS5 and Xbox X and S come out. So once again, it is right in line with that perfect kind of mid-cycle point where Nintendo comes in, shakes up everything, people and kind of yeah, just really slots really well within that part. They're not competing as much because the other consoles have been out for a while. Clearly, I would say this one is a little bit different from past years because of COVID and like even though Xbox and PlayStation have been out now for roughly around 3 years, like correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon. It certainly
Mm.
doesn't feel that way, right? Just because
No,
just because of
the
how much the
shortages and
shortage and the squeeze kind of made it where it's like not as accessible as past years.
well, and even to that note, like just even with the game delays, like we had like basically 2021 was pretty barren because all the games that were in development got pushed back because of COVID and people working from home and all that stuff, which eventually we kind of got back. which I don't think we'll cover it this week, but maybe next week, on how much of a fucking insane gaming year we have this year.
Wild.
Arguably one of the contenders for one of the greatest games in gaming history. And we've put together a list that may come up in the future episode to address that. But yeah, 100% Nintendo realized quickly on, with the kind of massive flop, I think, with the GameCube, when they were still trying to go up against Sony and Xbox and just kind of doing the three-way console war.
Yeah.
Where eventually Nintendo realized, like, hey, we're fucking Nintendo. We got Mario. All you bitches are going to come play. We're not dick measuring anymore.
Yeah.
We're good. And then they just kind of pulled out and then doubled down and have just been going so hard.
Yeah.
Put out crazy sales numbers, consistent, like, crazy sales of game numbers. Like, even just the whole thing with the Wii. The Wii was a cultural phenomenon. People fucking just wanted to play Wii Sports in each other's basements. Like, parents were getting drunk off bottles of wines and doing bowling and putting remotes through TVs everywhere.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a great time.
No, I think that's a really good call out. Like, I actually just pulled it up. So the GameCube launched on November 18th, 2001. The Xbox released November 15th, 2001. Like, you cannot go more head to head than literally 3 days after.
Exactly.
And then PlayStation 2 came out March 4th, 2000. So PlayStation had been out for a year and a bit, or maybe a little bit. Yeah, either way. It's from March 2000, and then the other one's coming out literally 3 days apart, which is wild. So Nintendo, like you said, I like step back and like, nah, man, we ain't doing that again.
Exactly. And then they just hit bangers with the Wii. Really fell off with the Wii U, but then really doubled back up with the Switch.
Yeah.
So now it makes perfect sense. The dust has really settled. An appropriate amount of time has gone by. The games are flowing for the next gen consoles. People are happy. People are gaming. It's very common now. Now people are ready to open up their hearts and their wallets that not green machine, the red machine with his green brother, Nintendo.
And Manager Toad, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Neat. All right, dude. So that is it for Nintendo. Again, we will keep all of our beautiful Guggernauts in the loop as any more news comes out of the way for Switch 2, because I don't know about you, Brandon, I would likely be buying it day one.
As long as we can get our hands on it.
Yeah. Oh, buddy, we'll find. By that point, Nintendo will be sending us review copies, big guy. Let's go.
Please take our dev kits.
Please. Oh, no, that's a whole other beast. But either way, Brandon, news article number 2. So Netflix introduces kind of the first launch, the limited beta of their cloud gaming service. So Netflix has introduced a limited beta for their cloud gaming, making it basically available for anyone who has a Netflix subscriber can now stream games onto their mobile device, onto their PC, and well as onto their Mac. I also believe if you have things like a Fire Stick, you're able to do that as well. So they're kind of spanning it out. Now, Netflix has been in the gaming space, let's say, air quotes, for the last little bit. I think in 2021. Yeah, 2021 is when they purchased the Oxenfree developer. And then that is kind of the first, or I would say probably the biggest game that they both own. Oxenfree is actually a very phenomenal game and part of this whole kind of Netflix cloud-based streaming. But basically what it allows you to do is go ahead, you can play these games. Currently, games like Oxenfree, which is it's not a point and click adventure, but it is a game where it's like semi-spooky. There's a lot of abnormal things going on, and it is multiple branching pathways. So the story has a whole bunch of different endings. You play as a bunch of teenagers out and about. And yeah, it's actually like it's quite good. I know my description of it wasn't the best, but it is a very very cool game to check out. So basically, as of
Spooky oogie point and click.
Yeah. Good times. Good times all around. So as of right now, you can download the games, but this is the first time that you're going to be able to be streaming the game. So no download required. You can play on your PC, which is really, really cool. And yeah, just Netflix's, again, their first foray or first real kind of step forward within this gaming space.
Which is pretty crazy, because when you think of, all right, who's going to be able to stream games better than anyone? Well, you'd think Netflix, because they locked down streaming as a whole, like they have video streaming down like crazy. And I'm sure, technically speaking, there's probably real tech people that are like, they're not even close to the same thing. Like they're not even this, like they have no relation whatsoever. But I don't know. To me, it makes sense that like a streaming giant like that, this is a very, very reasonable avenue to start dipping into.
Yeah.
Especially with things like Game Pass coming to Samsung TVs and like being able to stream gaming, like high-end gaming, through different internet connections. And with how fast internet has gotten now in places that aren't Narnia, it's amazing. Like you can stream gigs at a time.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And Netflix has got the infrastructure. They have the client base. Like it's just, I don't know. It's a really good avenue to branch out into, in my opinion. I think and it seems like they're tiptoeing in nicely. They're not going like balls to the wall.
Yeah.
They're not out there buying billion-dollar deals to get multiple studios in advance. They're kind of like, all right, cool. We're going to see if we can make this work. And if people like it, you know what, we'll add in, maybe they'll buy exclusive rights and they'll be like, hey, we're going to borrow or simultaneously launch the new God of War on Netflix and PlayStation. And like, who knows? I don't know.
No, that right now a lot of the Netflix games are much smaller. Yeah, like more akin,
like
I would say more akin to like indie games as well as like mobile games.
Like Apple Arcade?
Exactly. So like they actually have TMNT Shredder's Revenge. So they have more, but it's more of like a dumbed down version, like a handheld version. They got Tomb Raider. They also have a bunch of different like Netflix shows. Like I think they have like a Love is Blind game, which is pretty dope. Kentucky Route Zero, which is great. Oxenfree 1, and then they actually just released Oxenfree 2, which came out I think only a couple weeks ago. So I do actually intend to dive in. A Stranger Things game, actually a couple Stranger Things games. So yeah, some pretty good stuff. And then just like the arcade side. So there's like Balloons, like the Balloons defense game. Shout out to Gibson. He loves balloons. And a couple other ones there. So I think all in all, they have about, I think there's like 70 or 80 games. But again, a lot of them are more in that like
number 70
that handheld round. So heads up, the one there's an Exploding Kittens game. Hello Kitty and Friends Happiness Parade is also part of the the offerings over on.
I know what we're doing next.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. They got Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. So that's pretty dope. I'm going to, you know what, Brandon, for the next episode, I'm going to go ahead and jump into some Netflix games and I will come back with a full-fledged review on the offerings on that side.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. So basically, the only other thing besides that is they also released for Android, you can go ahead and download a controller to play that on your TV. So you can use your phone as the controller. It's got a handful of buttons, anything too crazy. Netflix basically has come out and said, like, at this point, we're not really interested in releasing a physical controller. We just want it to be as easily accessible as we can, and so people can play again on their computers or on their TVs or as well on their phone. So multiple ways of checking it out. Pretty cool. I'm all for it. And Netflix just continued to try and fight for people's eyeballs on their platforms.
Yeah, and as they said too, on that note, just finish it off, they also said that they don't have any plans to make other consoles controllers accessible with their Netflix platform.
Bastards.
So you're not going to be able to Bluetooth connect your PlayStation controller or Xbox controller.
Which I don't know. You know what? No. I don't know if that's like a good move or a bad move.
I feel like it would have been a good guy move to just accept all controllers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Until you have it. But I guess at the same time, maybe they're going to make their own eventually, and they don't want to box themselves out of that market before they're even in it by opening up the board. Because once they put that coding in somewhere, even if they block it, someone's just going to data mine or whatever and switch things and make it like, download this program and you can use your PlayStation controller on your Netflix account.
Yeah.
Because that's a big money thing right there if they do eventually release their own controller.
Yeah. Oh well, either way, we will keep you all posted, and let's go Netflix. Actually, no, fuck Netflix. All right, Brendan. So our final, I guess, big news article of the week, the one and only Baldur's Gate 3, a game that
where no bear is safe from your romantic views.
No bear is safe from your romantic bearings. See what I did there? But it is a game that personally I am not probably going to play. It is not my cup of tea. Brandon, though, I do believe and I do really hope that you end up picking up this game because I do think it is.
I already have it pre-ordered.
I love you, buddy. So that is there. So that should be arriving at Mr. Brandon's
Need to make bear babies in the woods.
residence shortly. But honestly, I will say that it is one of the games this year that I am just truly rooting for. Basically,
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
Realistically, with like how much shit is packed into there.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they've openly said that there are more hours of cinematic scenes in this game than there are in all seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yep.
But they also said too that you will not. It's not like you're going to be sitting there for 8 seasons watching movies. Those are cinema scenes that are buried in side quests, side missions, choices that you could not accidentally not make. Like, to see all of those hours, you will have to play the game multiple times in multiple different characters, multiple different like races and classes, and see them all.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they put like 8 seasons of HBO TV, like hour-long things into a fucking video game is nuts.
Yeah. So for those who do not know, Baldur's Gate 3 lives within the realm of Dungeons and Dragons. So Brandon, please correct me or fact check me, I guess, if I'm misspeaking
So far,
at
you're
all.
good.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Let's go nerds.
Yeah.
So basically, it lives within the D&D realm. But I think truly one of the biggest reasons why it has picked up so much steam and so much praise and so many people talking about this game is such being a breath of fresh air, and in the first time in years having a game that is hundreds upon hundreds of hours, a huge massive RPG giant fantasy game that has come out with no real bugs. It is a completed game. It is a finished game. It is a game made by Larian Studio, and just one that is truly, truly, truly made with just passion and love. And like the studio always puts the right foot forward regarding like, no, if it is good for the player, then it is good for the game. And like, we must do this and we must make it work. And honestly, there's no microtransactions. You purchase this game and you have this game. And on it, like, one part is it's really sad that like we live in a world that is like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you
that
released,
is like a selling feature.
yeah, you released the
like
game.
Good guy move.
Yeah, basically. But the other part is like all of these other devs are speaking out, being like, please do not make this an industry norm, because like, again, what these guys have produced is just absolutely like incredible.
It's top tier. Like,
yeah.
For those, I just quickly looked it up. So Baldur's Gate 2, the one before, came out 23 years ago. It's 2020, like September 21st, year 2000. When Baldur's Gate 1 came out, obviously it was very critically well received and high praise for RPGs. Baldur's Gate 2 broke the fucking RPG like world and was revered as like one of the greatest RPGs of all time, but was locked to PC. I think it was last year that they re-released it on PlayStation 4 and consoles as like a bundle pack for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And like, that just speaks volumes to how much people love these games.
Yeah.
Like, Baldur's Gate 2 did things in RPGs that just blew people away. Like, absolutely staggering things.
Yeah.
What they are, I cannot tell you because I was way too young to figure that shit out. I was not good at gaming then. I didn't really understand like all of that stuff. And I remember trying to play Baldur's Gate 2 because a bunch of my friends did. And they were the things they would tell me. I'm like, this sounds incredible. Like, I want to do it, but I just could never figure it out.
Yeah.
So which made me actually almost buy the remakes for PS4.
Oh, nice.
To go back and play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And like, then I realized I don't have time. So, because those are massive 100-hour games. And I settled on the fact that I would just jump right into Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
But that just speaks volumes to this company's commitment, that they have just been an industry setting standard, or not even a standard, like a benchmark that is unattainable by other studios since Baldur's Gate 2, like 23 years. So this game, I love hearing the fact that other companies are like, guys, this is a unicorn. Like, nobody's going to fucking do this again. Like, nobody's putting in this much time, this much effort, this much love and craft into their RPG.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty, even though they're saying like guys don't expect it, and it's kind of, I don't know. I take it almost as like a homage, you know,
Yeah,
being
yeah.
like, guys, this game is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like they're saying it without saying it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think it's. Let's hear some numbers, Mikey.
All
But
right,
like
big guy.
I'm just pumped to see what this world's all about.
Amazing. I got some good numbers for us. So, okay. So the first one is there is no official sales number as of right now. However, Larian has confirmed that over just the early access build of this game and like would be the pre-launch, they had already sold 2.5 million copies of it. Now, I will say I expect that number to be significantly higher by the time that
Yes, because that's only PC.
Yeah, that would be only PC. Everything else, no consoles, no anything else. Now, this game has currently taken over 9th place of Steam's all-time concurrent playing, or like concurrent people playing. So people playing all at one time. So right now, they are currently sitting in number 9, and that would be with 875,000 people playing at the exact same time on Steam.
Oh, at any given moment, there's that many people playing.
Yeah, this is their all-time peak. This is their all-time peak.
Okay.
Yeah, so within their 24-hour peak as of right now is 631,000 people playing on Steam for this game, which is crazy. So the fact that it broke the top 10 is just like absolutely wild. Just to, I guess, maybe put in some context, at number 8 is Hogwarts Legacy with 879. So like close. Like they were close. Very, very close to that. New World, which I'm actually not familiar with, is 913,000. Elden Ring came in at 953. And then we got Cyberpunk at 1 million, Dota 2 at 1.295, Lost Ark at 1.3, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Brandon, 1.8.
Still going strong.
Yeah. So the 24, wow, Counter-Strike is absolutely killing it. So the 24-hour highest peak of Counter-Strike is 1.2, all-time peak 1.8. Brandon, guess what their current like cumulative playing is right at this very moment?
1.1.
800,000.
Okay, but still, like,
that's wild.
Counter-Strike is like as old as we are.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's awesome. And then Brandon, what would you say? Quick answer, quick guess. What would you say would be the number one all-time like most concurrent people playing at the same time game?
Call of Duty?
Nah, PUBG. Battlegrounds, 3,200,000. So like no one else is even fucking close.
Jesus.
But so again, they hit number 9, which is awesome. 500,000 people playing within the first 24 hours. And the Larian CEO, his name is Swen or Sween. I hope I'm pronouncing that wrong. Mr. Sween. Yeah. Mr. Vinky, I should say. The team was expecting 100,000 people. That was what they were hoping for. That's what they were kind of putting their money on. And then 800,000 people showed up, which is just fucking super awesome.
And like, I just want to reiterate that this came out earlier on PC. People had early access to fuck around and play with the bugs on PC. So consoles, it's coming out in September. So all of these numbers, all of this, everything is strictly for PC. With all of this hype train building up for the console releases, who knows what we're fucking in for? You know, like I would love to see what the pre-installs are. Like they already have on the PlayStation Store. If you pre-order it, it has a countdown clock till you can pre-install. I've never seen that before. And like they're making a really big show of it. Yeah. And I thought that is really cool.
That's awesome.
Just a lot of love coming through.
I was talking to a friend of mine at work, fellow Guggernaut, Mr. Michael, and he is currently very, very deep and very invested into the land of Baldur's Gate, and he actually said that it might be his GOTY for this year, surpassing Zelda, which is pretty wild because I think he also sunk like 120 hours into Zelda.
Which, man, I think we got to do this next episode for sure with the list because the Game of the Year watch so far for this year is fucked. Like, I feel like everybody assumed Breath of the Wild 2 was going to absolutely sweep the lands with everything when it was released. Sure enough, here we are. We have Tears of the Kingdom. It's out. It's in the wilds. People played it. They're like, this is incredible. But if I feel like this, if any year is going to be able to put out a giant that can tackle the Zelda beast, this might be the year.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Again, I wouldn't want to spend too much time in it right now, but I think that's a good deep dive for next episode. But Brandon, basically, let's to wrap up, I guess, Baldur Gate. I got some really, really fun facts for you. So how
many bears have been impregnated?
So let me see let's get over there. So basically, Baldur's Gate, the Twitter account, they released last weekend. there is over 1,225 years of Baldur's Gate 3 played over the weekend. So since the launch.
So
So
fucked.
they released a whole shit ton of fun facts and stats and metrics for everyone to absorb. So let's run through a couple of the good ones. So basically, Brandon, only 368 people finished the game during the opening weekend.
Wow.
Which is also like, it's pretty high, but also think about like the hundreds of thousands of people playing that game and only 368 finished it. Over 90,
like,
over
they must
90,
have not slept.
yeah, probably. I don't think so. Probably Twitch streamers, to be honest. But so,
Yeah,
over 93% of players rolled for their random character within the character selection screen.
Oh shit.
Players
Okay.
spent a combined 88 years in the character creation side. And again, for those who don't know, it is like clearly a crazy in-depth character creator. You can do everything, anything to create like humans, beasts, I don't know, alien looking creatures, like craziness.
I'm so curious. I'm so ready.
Yeah, so nearly 10% of characters spent at least 1 hour in character creation. Gale was the most popular origin character selected with 27,000 people. Paladin was the most popular class by selected over 200,000 people. Brandon, what's Paladin? Like, this is my noob side.
It's like a holy warrior.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, like you're a tank that's like a monster damage dealer and a healer.
Cool. And half
Paladin slap, man.
Nice. So that was the most popular class, and then half elf was the most popular race, chosen by over 250,000 people. The half elf barely edged out. Number 2 was human, and then number 1 was elf. There was one NPC shoved into a chasm for every concurrent player playing peak during the peak engagement on Sunday. So people are just shoving 800,000 NPCs into chasms. Also within the first week.
Fuck them. That's why.
Absolutely. Almost 100,000 people have been rejected by Astarion, and I believe that it is one of the romance options. 12% of players' deaths were caused by friendly fire. 61% of players saved Emerald's Grove. I'm not too sure what that means. Players spoke to over 1,400,000 corpses and over 2,400,000 animals. And players have played for at least 10 million hours, so 1.225 years. So either way, Brandon, I know that's a lot of weird, crazy fun facts, but needless to say, Baldur's Gate 3 has been absolutely killing it. And yeah, I'm excited to hear your thoughts, reviews, and just, I don't know, basically never see you again as soon as you start playing that game.
I was going to say, realistically, like with all my obligations and stuff, I'm going to be struggling to find time to play it. So it might take me 10 years just to even get through it all.
Yeah.
But I will eagerly report back as much as I can.
Awesome, dude.
And as much as I can, I will try and hide in the basement for 10 hours straight once it comes out.
You're amazing. All right. So with that, Brandon, that is the main articles in the news. Let's run through the quick ass Gug rundown. So start the timer, 5 minutes. Let's try and get through it, Brandon. Remnant 2 has sold 1 million copies, my friend. So
fuck you.
Yeah. Remnant 2, Brandon will be diving into that later on in the episode, but 1 million copies is actually from the studio seen as a absolutely huge accomplishment. So they are absolutely thrilled. They are very excited that people have kind of come to this game. The reviews have all been absolutely fantastic for it. And I know, Brandon, you've been quite high up on it. So I'm excited to hear more about that. But besides that, Brandon, I guess anything to add before I jump to the next one?
No. Let's keep it rapid fire. I'll go deeper on the first 5 for Remnant.
Yeah, you will. All right, dude. Besides that, Ubisoft. So all of our Assassin's Creed Mirage fans out there, I actually have some good news for you. So Ubisoft has moved the launch date of Assassin's Creed Mirage up from October 12th to October 5th. Yeah, so basically the main...
Why bother? Like a week? Come on.
Brandon, I will tell you why bother. Actually, before I go into that, for those who do not know, Assassin's Creed Mirage is the next game coming out, obviously in the Assassin's Creed franchise, but quite different from what we have seen over the past years with Valhalla and some of the other games. This one is going to be much more pulled back instead of a big 80, 100-hour open world. This is going to be a much more condensed Assassin's Creed adventure, much similar to the kind of first couple games of the franchise, where it is really focusing on stealth rather than your big open world and your big battles, everything along those lines. But Brandon, the big reason why they decided to make that move is to just give it a little bit more breathing room before all of the big dicks start to swing. We got Microsoft Forza Horizon arriving on October 10th, Alan Wake coming October 17th, and then the big 1-2 punch, the old jab and punch to the noodle. We got Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder coming October the 20th. So Ubisoft saw that and they're just like, nah, we good.
Yeah. Nah, bro.
So they pushed it
cannon up. More fuel for the fire though for next week's Game of the Year watch list.
Oh, buddy, Spider-Man 2's got me so hyped. I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am about that. Super Mario Wonder as well, as I will most likely be picking that up. So yeah, I know. Either way, cool news for that. I am very excited, very curious about Assassin's Creed Mirage. I hope it is great. I hope it's awesome. I hope it's a very good return to form as Ubisoft tries something a little bit different for the old Assassin's Creed formula. And then besides that, in other Ubisoft news, they have allegedly shelved development for the sequel of Immortals Phoenix Rising. Brandon. Yes.
Not surprised. Though.
Exactly. Not surprised as well. I actually spoke about Phoenix Rising in a much earlier episode. I want to say it's actually one of our earliest episodes. Top 10, maybe.
Yeah, it might have been one of your first reviews.
I think so. I did enjoy the game. I thought it was very fun. It is more or less a Zelda Breath of the Wild clone, but put into Greek mythology. Combat was good. The characters were very fun. The comedy was definitely there. But I do remember it being, by the end of the game, there was nothing more I wanted to then just be done with that game. No desire to go back, no desire to play it, but I did enjoy it for what it was. But basically, Ubisoft has decided to shelve that game. One big part of it was just how challenging it is to establish a new IP, especially in today's world of nostalgia and just like, oh yeah, give me everything that I already have, which is probably for the worst. And then besides that, it just did not sell very well. So it actually came out and was released basically side by side with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it sold 70% less. So
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Valhalla was like, I don't know why they played themselves.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like, why did they release their own new IP up against one of the most established franchises, fresh off of one of the best installments of the entire series?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
And like,
somebody got fired.
People were coming in hot at that point because it's like Origins was awesome. Valhalla was like, yo, this is like so fucking sick.
Unreal.
Yeah.
The only complaint was that there was too long.
Yeah. Too much.
And like, it was actually so fucking long.
Yeah, too much. Eric Platinum did as well. So again, spoiler.
Not surprised.
We'll get that. So that's basically it from the Ubisoft news, Brandon. And then wrapping it all up for the quick fire. So Evo, the fighting game tournament, wrapped over the weekend, and it pulled in over 9,000 competitors, Brandon, with 7,000 of those registering to play Street Fighter 6. You want to know the main reason? It's definitely not the main reason, but Brandon, for those who entered into the tournament and made it past the first round, they got a free burrito at Chipotle.
Oh baby!
But then they also,
honestly, you're losing money not doing that.
Absolutely, I would enter for a free burrito. Fuck it, I get stomped in the first round and just Honda slap everyone. You know, so.
100%, and then get a burrito.
But besides that, there was participants from over 71 countries, which was awesome. It took place between August 4th to August 6th, and that was in Las Vegas. Again, Michael, one of the guys that I work with, big friend of the show, he actually went. He went this year and last year, and always tells me how absolutely hype it is. So, Brandon, we might need to make a trip out to Vegas next year for Evo. And then
100%.
It would be so fun, dude. But basically,
Vegas is awesome.
Basically, the games that they had for show. So Street Fighter 6, obviously the mecca, the one that everyone was there to see. Then they got Guilty Gear Strive, Tekken 7, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 made its triumphant return, King of Fighters 15, Medley Blood, have not heard of that one, and then, of course, Mortal Kombat 11, which is pretty dope. Next Evo, we'll have Mortal Kombat 1, which is awesome, and cannot wait.
Yeah, 100%, which is another game yet to come this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I mean, it's not going to be game of the year, but like, is a fucking good game of the year, that's for sure.
It looks so good.
It's going to be maybe game of the year for fighting genre.
No, Street Fighter 6. There's no way. There's no way. That one I think will be. It might be close, but I think Street Fighter is.
I don't think it'll be close either. Street Fighter is hard to fuck with.
Yeah.
But you never know. Yeah. Who knows?
You never know. You never know, dude. Either way, that is it for the rapid fire, Brandon, and that is it for In the News. So with that, let us jump over. What do you want to do, Big? I'll give you the ball in your court. I've been
Oh shit.
talking. So you want to go review first or first five? What do you got for me?
I was gonna say you know what? I'll do first five because it's we're fresh off some remnant talk, and also it is a shorter
Yeah.
because we're gonna do it in under 5 minutes.
Let's go, baby. All right. So with
So
that, let us dive into first five for Remnant 2. Hello and welcome to First Five, where we go through the first 5 hours of a game in 5 minutes or less. So on today's First Five episode, Brandon is going to be running down Remnant 2. So Brandon, with no further ado, the floor is yours, my friend.
all right. So essentially, for those that don't know, this game kind of came out of nowhere. Remnant from the Ashes, the original, came out a few years ago to very underwhelming critical and player responses. Uh, it I didn't play it. I didn't know much about it. I was told that it was like a Soulsborne game, like with guns, basically. Um, so that alone got my like spider sense tingling, but it didn't really land well. Apparently, it did really well on the Switch. People love it. Blah 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 blah. Here we are. Now we're at the second one. The studio was not done yet. They've launched it again, and they have made massive improvements according to the community. So I'm coming in this fresh. So basically, I got to keep this short. So essentially, you start off as like a looter shooter type of world. You are thrown into Ward 13, the central hub for this world, just like the last one allegedly, but this time with a little bit new bit of paint. So you pick your classes. You got like your hunter classes, dog classes, like basically all these different your regular run of the mill classes that you would expect.
Mhm.
But with each one of those ones, you have your own skill trees that kind of develop or like build up, and you get new stats based on your certain skills, and you get new abilities, much like a Destiny.
Cool.
So like you get a very like 1 to 2 button type of combo where you can get 2 to 3 moves out of a class that you can trigger with various different button presses, and you use a lot of fucking guns, and it's like Soulsborne level difficulty. But unlike in a Souls game, you can adjust the difficulty on this one, where you can do the easy mode, which is like normal, or you can do hard, crazy hard, and you're fucking dead, basically, like just the different levels. Which a lot of that is also spec to be with your gear as you're going to increase, and like the special powers that you unlock in your different weapons, whether it's flaming tornado like vortexes of death, or like just putting caltraps on the floor to slow down enemies so you can bullet sponge them. Another claim to fame for it is that it is co-op. So
Ooh.
you can bring in multiple friends, unlike in a Souls game where your co-op is for one boss in one small area. You can just go on a co-op campaign together. So like me and Mikey, we could do like a Gug squad and have from the start on one full story character
Cool.
that is played together, and we do the whole game together, which is a really cool thing, which then opens up different levels of difficulty and different uh like more usefulness for certain classes that are spec towards healing, which you can also double class. Once you max one out, you can merge the different skills together. So with the 5 different classes, you could eventually come up with fuck tons of different combinations of mixing and matching them. Uh, One of the other claims to fame for this is that a large portion of the game is procedurally generated within certain algorithms based on different feels. So what that means essentially is that there are like 6 different worlds, and 3 or 4 of those worlds, I've only been to a couple of them so far.
Okay.
3 or 4 of those worlds are set in a certain type of feel. First one I got dropped into is like pure Bloodborne mixed with Dark Souls, which are very different atmospherical feels. So we're talking like dungeons and castles mixed with like uh what the fuck is his name? I'm drawing a complete blank on this guy's name, but like just super creepy fucking monsters that are all skeletal. And like that's the first world I got dropped into, and I'm fighting these fey creatures that are between 2 gods that are basically battling for control over this world, and you basically get to pick which one you side along with. It's nuts.
Cool.
But that also has multiple different storylines. So if Mikey rolled into that same world, all the pathways, the map would be completely different. The side missions would be randomly generated and completely different. And the only overarching things are the fixed main stories. So like there's only a handful of different main stories, and a new one could generate each time with a new boss that also has new god gear. Shit like that.
You got 1 minute left.
Goddamn, it's hard to be in 5 minutes. So basically, right off the bat, I first got drawn onto this because I heard a very, very popular streamer basically talking about how this was now their game of the year and it overtook Tears of the Kingdom for them.
Damn.
And I thought that was crazy because this person seems to fucking love Tears of the Kingdom. So I wanted to give it a try. No fear, I don't think at this point of it actually taking that spot for me, but at the same time, seems like amazing junk food, amazing time to play with co-op, would be even more fun with someone to play with as a co-op game, but is also been really good as a single player game. I'm super interested. I finally got a taste of some really cool weapons with some cool superpowers that make no fucking sense, and I love it. So far, very interested, extremely hyped to keep playing. Wish I was playing it right now, but we're doing this and I'm loving it, so it's all good. Uphill after. And I think that's it, man. I think it's just really cool. It seems to steal a lot of different formulas from a ton of different games and a lot of different looks, puts it all together into one procedurally generated monster, and gives you a very unique gaming experience for you. And its replayability is off the chain.
Boom, baby. Nice, Fred.
Boom.
Nice. You're a little over 5, but you are forgiven, my friend. So
I really started. I looked. It's amazing how fast the time goes on that.
I know. It's okay. You stumbled a little bit at the beginning, but you really picked it up. You really came through at the end, and I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, I'll tighten it up.
No, it's okay. It was perfect. What's it called? What would you? So I guess I know you've only played a little bit, and I know you've been saying that like you've just been dying to get back to it. So I guess needless to say, some thumbs up, seal of approval, some dinosaur chicken nuggies thrown out there, or what?
Oh, dinosaur chicken nugget. We're not talking god status here. I'm just I'm saying like so far this seems like a really good junk food game.
Okay.
That like it is really fun to pick up. It's easy to put down, easy to pick back up. Great with friends, great alone. There's no deep storyline here.
Nice.
There is a lot of fun, cool, side interesting things, but there's no big overarching like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? I need to know.
Yeah.
Like there's no Last of Us-ness or God of War level stories going on here. So, but it is also not a full price game.
Ooh, that's good.
You could buy it. It was up on Amazon for $49 for the physical copy, and for some reason on PlayStation Store, $66 for the digital.
Yeah, for $49 USD. That's very, very cool.
So it's a solid purchase, and it's not actually a full pop game, so it's not that expensive. So it's a really easy jump in for a lot of people, especially if you like looter shooters with friends. And you can also go wild and turn the difficulty up to 100 and just get your ass raped if you want. And if not, you can also just have fun on like the lower difficulties. And so far, I have not found it very challenging on the lower difficulty. So I will be turning up the difficulty.
Very awesome.
Yeah, especially once you get some good guns.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and it has melee. So, you know,
neat.
I have a giant fucking sword as well as guns.
Of course you do. Of course.
Yeah, melee has viable builds.
Awesome, man. All right, cool. So with that, I guess if there's anything else that you want to add, but otherwise we can continue the show, my man.
I think we got it covered.
Right.
Lots of secrets, lots of hidden paths, lots of guns, and some badass swords.
Excellente. All right, man. That sounds good to me. I'm actually pretty happy. I know a couple people who are playing Remnant, including Daniel, one of the writers for grownupgaming.com, and he is absolutely like loving it. So I think we might be able to find you a couple people to jump in and play with, big guy.
Fucking A. Yeah, I'm so fresh. I'm so lost on so many of the different mechanics that I've been doing some videos to get caught up. So hence why I'm getting more excited to practice.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, dude. So with that, we are going to jump over to Indie Love, and then Brandon will wrap up the show with his beautiful, beautiful review of Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Of that beautiful ginger fuck Cal Kestis.
Yes. Indie Love first, my friend. Indie Love. Yeah. All right, man. Let's jump over there and let's keep it going. Brandon, welcome to Indie Love, everybody. And on this week's episode of Indie Love, I have a bit of a different game than typically, but one that I absolutely loved. It is called Venba. So it is a game that is actually made by a Toronto developer, a Toronto-based studio, I should say, called Visay. Sorry for any mispronunciations there. But the game takes place all around cooking, branding.
Mm.
So cooking is really the true star of the show, minus the absolutely heartfelt, incredible story that goes along it. So Venba is a narrative cooking game where you play as an Indian mom who immigrates to Canada, and it starts off in the 80s where her and her husband find out that they are pregnant with their son. And
Oh,
from there it goes down just a incredibly like just heartfelt story, an immigrant story, if you will, about them not knowing what to do, kind of the being torn between, do we go back home or do we try and give our child a better life in Canada, and that really true immigrant dream. I would be lying to everyone here if I didn't tell you that I like teared up by just the end and everything else. It was just really good. So throughout the game, you go and there's multiple paths throughout the narrative as you're able to select different options. And between the story, the thing that is, I would say, the true binding and the true glue of this game is the cooking. So much like many cultures, food is such a big aspect of it and is no different in Vemba as well as the Indian culture, more specifically Tamil. And what you do is throughout the game, you play, they're not very much cooking mama style mini games, but it is cooking where you make different Indian dishes. And basically, the premise of it is Venba has a recipe book that she brought from back from India, but it is kind of falling apart. So it is damaged.
mm.
So not all of the recipe or how you create that dish is fully available to you. So you have to kind of go trial and error and try and solve, I guess, the puzzle of creating this dish. And then throughout the story, the recipe book kind of gets in a little bit better shape. So I do not want to spoil it all too much. I absolutely love the game. It is quite short. So I believe I finished the game in around 2 hours. So pretty quick. It is on Game Pass, and that is, again, for anyone who does have Game Pass, it is probably one of the best games to just dive in if you have a night, if you don't really feel like killing anything and you just want to be taken through an absolute like just awesome story. And even like for myself, like obviously I'm not Tamil or I'm not Indian, but as someone who comes from Italian roots, I truly understand how much food plays a big impact in just like your mother's cooking is something that is never be able to be replaced. And again, I cannot recommend this game enough for someone who wants to try something different. The story is absolutely moving. The art style is fantastic. The music is great. The team, it's a very small team. I'll go ahead and throw up the credits of those who are very much deserving on the screen. And again, right now it's currently sitting at about 80% on Metacritic. And if you do
Damn.
not have Game Pass, you can purchase the game for $14.99. So it is a little bit expensive, I guess, for such a short game. But there is definitely a part of me that wants to go back and kind of go through some of the different pathways to see, again, just learning more about the characters and kind of what comes out of it. So again, that is my take on Vemba. I absolutely loved it, and I cannot recommend it enough. I would give this game solid 8.5 out of 10.
Hmm. How is it possible to play with another person? Like,
Um,
is it like, I can't imagine it's a co-op game, but I meant more so, I guess, like if you're playing it, like say you loved it, you thought it was great, be like, all right, I'm coming over. Like, all right, Mikey, I want to play it. Let's play it together. Like someone's watching. Is there enough of the story to like carry an observer to
I
go
would
through that
I
two
would think
hours?
so. Definitely. I would
Okay.
say it would be actually a really good game to play with someone else. I think for multiple facets, one of it being that like you can work on figuring out the puzzles together, right? Like the
Okay.
puzzle
Yep.
of the cooking. The other part of it is like I think, or like B, I guess, is just having another person in the room to experience the story with you, right? And again, going through all of the trials, the tribulations of an immigrant within Toronto and Canada, where
Hmm.
Brandon and I are both from, right? We see it every day, living here and just kind of seeing everything that goes on that front. And then the other part is having someone else in the room whenever there's a multiple path narrative is always a lot of
Yeah.
fun because you can choose like, okay, do we go with option A, B, or like option C, right?
Yeah. And
So yeah,
which makes that 2-hour mark actually a lot more digestible because then you have like a date night or something like that, and you're like, hey, like even if it's a fresh romance, you're having someone over that might be a little into gaming or maybe not. Like, hey, do you want to try like a quick, very heartfelt story to kind of lay it all out, and maybe two people could play it together? and then you kind of go through something emotional. You create some stuff together through someone else's shared experience.
Yeah.
And of course, after 2 hours of talking about Indian food, you were going to be fucking hungry. You will probably order some food.
Oh, absolutely, man. If there's like two things
I'm hungry thinking about it.
If there's two games that came out of this game is like, well, multiple things came out of it, but one, I called my mom and just like, yo, I love you. Like, just want to check in, see you there.
Yeah.
And number two was also just like, I really want Indian food right now because it looks fucking so good.
Oh, I would be curious actually with the recipes. Like, do you know if anyone online has tried to actually cook off the recipes from the game? Like make them as
I don't know. No, I don't.
I know people did that with Metal Gear Solid. I know some people have played like Metal Gear Solid foods and shit like that. Like it's a big thing.
That's awesome.
But I'd be curious.
No, I do not know if it would be. And again, I think like even just within like the puzzleness of the thing. And also a lot of the recipes typically have some form of, what would it be called? Like some form of cooking utensil that I guess like the average person probably wouldn't have in their house, right? Like it's more on like to make their specialized dishes. But again, it just looks fucking awesome, dude. And like the game was great. Yeah, highly recommend.
That's awesome. And like Game Pass, like you said, makes sense. Game Pass, if you already have it, why not? It's 2 hours. It's a good evening and it doesn't cost you anything. And even if it does sound appealing, like you were saying, the $14, right?
Yep.
$14.99.
Yep.
Is that Canadian?
US.
Oh, US. Yeah. Yeah. So that puts it up to about the $20 mark for Canadian. So $20 for 2 hours. We're getting real close to that tipping point of a night at the movies for 2 hours versus playing a game. So like, if you're playing it solo, it kind of dips almost out of that scale. But if you're playing it with somebody else, then you're kind of counting like 2 movie tickets for the price. And then you're still in that golden sweet spot of getting your bang for your buck of entertainment. For those that don't know, that's my golden rule scale. Going to a movie, you get about 2 hours of entertainment. Most people go with someone else. So you're talking like $40, $50 for 2 people to go to a movie to get like popcorn and do all the shebang. So you're looking at like I don't know, like $40, $50 depending on who you're going with for 2 hours of entertainment. Scale that back down to one person, you're at least spending about 25. And then compare that to a game versus the amount of hours played, blah, 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 blah. This one kind of tips outside of that scale a little bit. But I think if you tag in a partner, I think you can make it work. Or you just get Game Pass.
There you go, buddy. The dream. That's basically about it. I caught wind first of this game. It was actually during the Wholesome Direct, which was the Summer Game Fest like indie game presentation. So that is where I first saw the game, and then I was like fucking so excited to see it come out from on Game Pass as well. And then that's when I learned that again the game was made in Toronto. It takes place in Toronto. I think I'm a little biased because there's definitely things in the game that are like nods to Toronto, like the Toronto District School Board and things along those lines, So either way, it's cool, man.
Nice.
Yeah,
we don't get it that often, There's only really been
we got Scott Pilgrim, and that's about it.
Yeah, well, and also we had the Turning Red.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Disney movie, which was a full blown Toronto thing, which was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. So either way, man, that's it for Indie Love. 8.5 out of 10. Everyone check it out, especially if you Game Pass. There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't spend the hour and a half, 2 hours. To plow through this game, and I guarantee you that you will feel some serious fucking feels.
There you go.
All right,
and if you do hit it back off Mikey's recommendation, hit us up on the socials and let us know what you think.
Absolutely, that would be awesome. So yeah, if you check it out, if you play it, jump into the comments. Let me know what you think, and we'd love to have that conversation with y'all. All right, Brandon, let's wrap it up, big guy. Let's jump into your review of Star Wars Fallen Survivor. No, just Star Wars Survivor, right? Yeah, I'm thinking of Fallen Order. I
was going to say Fallen Jedi Survivors.
Star Wars Jedi Survivors. All right, Guggernauts, wrapping up episode 48 of the Growing Up Gaming Podcast. We are going to be running through Brandon's review of Jedi Survivor. So, Brandon, I do not want to take too much of your heat, but before we do dive into this, what I'm thinking is a fantastic game, I do have one question for you, my man. Did you turn on arachnophobia mode?
No, I did not turn on arachnophobia mode.
I hate you.
I also did not really encounter any spiders I can think of.
See,
there's obviously some in there, but I wasn't looking for them, so they weren't a main center stage enemy.
Okay.
As I remember.
All right. I honestly, you're not the first person I've heard this from, and I'm very curious to see what arachnophobia does turn off then. But either way, that is a topic for another day, Brandon. I want to let you dive into this review for all of our beautiful Cuggernauts out there.
All right. So first and foremost, I will say, I know this game came out a long time ago, but it's new to me, motherfuckers. So, yeah, basically, it came out in April this year, but it's just went on sale more recently, and obviously, there's been a lot less time to game, and there's been a absolute metric ton of games dumped on us this year.
We get it,
So
buddy. We
finally got to it. And if you're like me and you were kind of holding out because this game, like you loved the first one, but this wasn't necessarily a day one worthy buy because the first one was cool, but like, do you need the second one? Blah, 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 blah. I'm here to report back that having now played it, the bugs have all been ironed out. Everything is running butter smooth on the PS5. And I can confirm with confidence that if you liked the first one, you will also really like the second one.
Hot take, Brandon. Hot take already.
Honestly, they did not break. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it was definitely the mantra for this game. They left everything very much so the same. The game feels very similar to the first in how it handles the gameplay, all that good stuff. But they made vast improvements on the stuff that needed a little bit more polish. For example, like in the first one, your only customization for your character was basically like hair and poncho.
The ponchos, baby.
Yeah, which like ponchos, like all right, no, it was kind of dumb. Nobody really wanted the ponchos, but like it's all you had, so you kind of got into them. But now, because you are a space traveling undercover Jedi scoundrel motherfucker, you now have an arsenal of character customization options. You have tons of hairstyles, tons of mustaches, and like facial hairs. You also have different armors, whether it's like badass military, like beefy armors, or like sleek Jedi robes and shit like that. They also switched up the combat a little bit to put in better, like more diverse stances. Like the new feature is called stances. And that is their take on giving you new weapon options apart from the lightsaber. What I mean is you're always using the lightsaber, but they mess with them a bit to make them feel like they're completely different weapons. Right off the bat, obviously you're going to have your single lightsaber. Everybody knows the single lightsaber. It's the most basic lightsaber stance for all the different movies. Like everybody knows it. Then we had Darth Maul come in and fuck shit up with that double-sided lightsaber.
Yeah, boy.
So that's like a full different, like crazy acrobatic, like all over the place style. So that's what I'm kind of mean. So you get those two, then you get into like he breaks that big ass staff in half and then wields dual lightsabers, one per hand. And that style is a very fast pace. Like each one of the stances has like a speed, damage, defense rating. They all have their own moves, and each one of them has their own skill tree that unlocks different activatable combos or special moves. And then there's combo unlocks, and they beef up various forms of combat in different ways.
Cool.
Like, for example, one of my favorite ones, the crossguard, makes it feel like it's a giant axe or a hammer from like a Soulsborne game.
Oh, sick.
Combat is very slow, but it is monstrous for the damage that it pumps out. And to make that look individually different, you get the Darth Revan like look with the little baby lightsaber sticking off the side of the hilt,
like the little
and it
T?
Makes it look like a claymore.
Yeah, like the little T one.
Exactly. So like one of the sections for that, for what I mean is like if you, because obviously you're a Jedi, you can reflect laser bolts.
Yeah.
If you're using the claymore stance and you do a perfect reflect on the bolt, it overcharges it and becomes like an explosive round. Where if you're using my second favorite stance, the split, the dual wield, if you do a perfect block, it actually separates the beam and makes two beams and launches two bullets back. So you hit two people. And like just little things like that. Like that's for the reflection. Then there's other ones that are like faster, more elaborate combos and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Not to mention you get all the access of the force powers with your push and pull again, but a little bit more widespread, a little bit more badass, a little bit more in depth. Like all of that stuff felt super cool. Visually, obviously, right off the bat, stunning.
Yeah.
Like that is a very noticeable difference. The graphics are crazy. The cinema scenes and like the action sequences, like not even full-blown movie cinemas, like the action cinematography sequences that would normally be like quick time events.
Yeah.
Some they don't really have quick time events, but they have something like quick time events every now and then where it's not like push a button at the right time. It's more of like a time-based jumping and grabbing and like you have
Gotcha.
to do it.
Gotcha.
So like it is quick time, but not quick time. I don't know. Felt a little different. But things like that, like visually, I have to say much like the lasting impression that the first one left on me with the ending of just the overwhelming sensory overload of just beauty that I still won't spoil, but if we ended up doing our top 5 impactful moments list, it will come up, guarantee you. But there are multiple moments in this game that I was literally just like flabbergasted of just like this is fucking crazy and just looks so cool, very very engaging. I have to say too, right off the bat, it took me a few minutes to get back into the story, to remember where the first one left off and all that. And it took me a bit to get into the new story. Like at some of my first notes on playing it was that the story was weak. Uh, by the end of the game, I'm like, the story was fucking great. Like it was, it was a bit of a slow burn to get back into it. But once they hit the gas, like halfway through the game with the
Yeah.
story, like the big story notes, I was, I was constantly hooked. And even when I thought I had beaten it and I was at the end, more shit happens. And it was like a very welcomed thing. And I was very happy that the game didn't end where I thought it was and that it gave me so much more to play with. Um, for those that don't know, if you've never played this, it is a Star Wars game. You play Cal Kestis, who is one of the last surviving Jedis on Earth. It takes place in between like the timeline of with Darth Vader, Luke, Han, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the Rebel Alliance, all that stuff is going on, and the Jedi, like Order, what was it, 171 or whatever,
Yeah.
has been initiated. All the Jedi's are being hunted and killed. Uh, like Darth Vader is very much a looming threat and assassin of the Emperor, and they're trying to find all of the leftover Jedi's. So all of the Jedi's are in hiding. So you will find some Jedis, like in the first game, you'll meet other ones. You'll meet people that are force sensitive, like Seer and stuff like that. You met for the first one, Mirren, sorry, and she's like one of the six sisters, or I forget what they're fucking called. But either way, they're like subcults that are not Jedis, but they're also force sensitive, and you get to see new cultures that are using the force that don't just subscribe to like the Sith or the Jedi. So like there's all kinds of shit out there, and they really do a good job of exploring the outside world of what you're shown in the regular Star Wars movies. So cinematically and story wise, this whole universe with the Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor have been amazing. Um, and just a really good way to nerd out because you can also do full on lightsaber customizations
Sick.
and like really make your lightsaber look and feel like yours.
What color did you have rated?
Oh, every like time I went back to base, I'm switching it.
Okay,
Every
cool.
time I redesign my light, like as you explore the world and you find new cosmetics, I'd find a new hilt for my lightsaber, so I
Yeah.
would completely redesign it.
Sick.
And then every time I redesign it, then you have to pick the color that matches with the rest of your lightsaber.
Yeah.
You can't just have one color.
Buddy, there's
So
no, you can. There's only one right answer, and it is Mace Windu's purple.
so that was one of the ones I hit. I definitely hit that as well, but I also did green and blue and orange and white and gold,
Sick.
and there's like 10 different colors.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah, I'm just looking here to make sure I didn't miss anything. So they also had a really cool addition. They had like a tabletop tactics game.
Oh, cool.
So you kind of have like a home world, and you have a buddy that has a bar, and the bar is your home world. And you unlock and meet different people in the world, and they unlock new things in the bar. And one of the things that you find from a person in the world is that they come back and they run a gaming table, and that is where this tabletop tactics game come in. And one of the things I thought was really cool from that was that when you kill a monster or an enemy in the wild, you scan them, and then you can take that person and put them into your tabletop game,
Oh, that's
which
cool.
then also inspires you to go and fight big ass monsters
Yeah.
like rancors and shit, because you want to scan them and put them into your tabletop game. And the way that the tabletop game worked, it was very, very well balanced and scaled, I thought. You get like a certain amount of points to spend per round. And if you don't spend any points in that round, they carry over to the next round so you can spend more. And each character, and like depending on the size of them, the damage of them, is scaled to a point value that makes it fair.
Cool.
So you can't just overload and like summon like 50 ATSTs and like win. Like if you, and even then, like even that with the balancing, like when you even get something like a giant mech like that, there's a lot of ground troops that can just dominate those guys if you don't pick your battles right. And you do get to see the other opponent's players before you make your teams. So I got really into that. I had a lot of fun with it. And I spent hours. Like sometimes I had to catch myself and be like, no, go play the game. Like go do a mission, go do something. So I would just be there for like 2 hours just playing against people,
fucking around,
and like doing the different strategies.
Sick.
So it was a lot of fun. So I have to say, on that sense, everything was good in that the side missions were cool. The other stuff inside the world were really cool. The world design was excellent. The like I would say that the checkpoint and shortcut range was reminiscent to Dark Souls, in that Dark Souls had I think the best design map of any game I've ever played.
Okay.
In terms of the way that Soulsborne's works, much like Jedi Survivor, is that if you die, all the enemies come back. You go back to a checkpoint that's very far away, and you don't lose experience and all that stuff like Soulsborne, but you have to go and do it again, basically. And the difficulty is decent. Like it's not super hard. It's no Soulsborne by any means, even on harder difficulties, but it is challenging.
Yeah.
So if you are going like on the main path, if you get to a certain point where you start to get that like, oh fuck, like if I die, I'm almost out of stims, like I don't have enough health potions, basically. Like you can start getting nervous that you're gonna die and have to do this all again. Next thing you know, you'll see a door, like, oh fuck, you made a checkpoint where you open that door.
Sorry.
And that door will take you back. You okay?
Yeah, I'm watching. Sorry, cut you off for it. I'm watching I have footage playing of the game. Oh. And so I was been watching the footage, and he entered a room and just fucking got spider owned. Scared the shit out of me.
That is amazing. I did not know what was happening there for a second.
Oh my god. Okay, continue on.
Good to know.
Sorry,
that's okay. That was great.
Oh my god,
no, that was perfect. Definitely need to leave that in. but yeah. So essentially, you would get to a point where you're almost at like, oh, I'm almost fucked. I need this would be a bitch to run back, and then you'll open up a door, and that door will like just take you to like a platform above the checkpoint, and you can kick a rope down so that if you do die, you respawn at the checkpoint, you just climb that rope and you're right back there. So it did an amazing job of taking you in seemingly very far out places, but then bringing you back to safety so that if you die, you just come back and you do it again. It's not a big deal.
Cool.
There was some things lacking, obviously. I thought there would be space combat. I'm fucking waiting to get my own spaceship that has like I can mount guns and do dog fighting in space.
Yeah.
Which did not come in this game.
R.I.P.
Which a little disappointed, but I'm hoping that they're going to introduce that for the third game, because there's definitely going to be a third game.
Yeah.
There's definitely, the ball is still rolling by the end of this one, and it's rolling in a way that I'm like, I really want to see what happens. I need to know. I need to play it. And I'm hoping that the way that things are going, that they're going to lead into the dogfighting, which then could give us some fun, maybe ship building, ship customizations, maybe a mini game with like rebel fighting and dogfights, like a tactics type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, cool.
They could do a lot of stuff. All in all, I also think that one of my last things, the voice acting and stuff varies. Obviously, the act, because motion capture, acting, and whatnot is what it is. But most people do a really good job. But the main guy, Cal Kestis, played by Cameron Manaugag. I cannot pronounce his last name. Mogahan, the guy from Shameless.
Yeah.
Looks exactly like he does in the game as he does in real life. He absolutely destroys it. Like, there's times where I feel like because they did this with CG, I'm like, I feel like this is just him. Like, he just sold it so well, and I believed he believed what was happening. Like,
Cool.
he became a person, and the feelings he had were real, and his reactions and like the breaks in characters and breakdowns and real human moments, I thought were so impressive that I was hooked. I would watch a Star Wars movie with him, which luckily they could do because he looks exactly the same as the fucking actor in real life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
Oh yeah, they
you
like
just make
full.
him
Yeah.
the actor, and then he is Cal Kestis in the movie. I would watch the shit out of that movie
That's awesome.
because it's just an excellent, excellent franchise.
He's also in Click, Brandon.
He's in what?
Click.
Oh, Click.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Amityville Horror: The Awakening.
Oh, there you go. And the other thing I really, really did appreciate that they really leaned into more with this game was the human aspect of being a Jedi, and like the human aspect. And what I mean by that is that like you watch the movies and you're like, the Jedis live by a code. They shall not have children. They shall not get married. They serve the Force. All this like crazy like fucking shit.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go along with that because it's Star Wars, and they're like, yeah, you have superpowers, you get a fucking laser sword, sign me up. Like, but this game does a really good job of digging into the human aspects of like the struggle with that type of principles, and like not even just like good versus bad. Like we've seen so black and white in the past with like the Sith are evil and want to kill everybody and the Jedi are good. This one does such a good job of playing in the gray with the storyline, where like it really humanizes the aspects, like certain aspects of it. I'm trying not to say anything that gives anything away, but it's like it's the only way I can really describe it. It adds a huge new human element to dealing with the Force or being a Jedi,
Okay,
and
cool.
potentially being one of the last Jedis. So like, who's fucking looking over your shoulder to make sure you're following the religion? You're already a space wizard.
Yeah,
Like,
I got you. Okay.
you're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so like, you know, what do you want to do? You want to go out and shoot some space meth? Like, who's gonna stop
Who's
you?
gonna stop me?
There's
Yeah.
no, yeah, there's no Master Yoda. He's
Giant,
gonna be like,
giant
hey,
spiders. That's who, Brandon. Giant fucking spiders.
yeah, yeah. So
Cool, man.
all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I absolutely recommend it to anyone that was a fan of the first one.
Yeah.
I played, according to my PS3 timer, I put in 29 hours.
Cool.
So, and I didn't beat all of the side missions, but I did a lot of them.
Awesome.
So I think it's an easy sell that like 20 hours of story campaign, even if you just mainlined it, is probably fair. And you'll easily get lost in some side missions along the way. So I think it's an easy 20 to 25 hour gameplay, which puts it right on the money. No questions asked for the price point and entertainment value. And I think anyone can play this game. Anyone will enjoy it.
Excellent, sir. Final score, Brandon, to wrap it all up.
It is a tough one because I'm torn between a 9. An 8.5 seems too low, and a 9 seems like I'm almost too high. But at the same time, I really loved it.
Okay.
I'm just going to give it the 9. I'll put it in the 9 territory as one of the greats of this year.
Love it. Absolutely love to hear it.
On a different, you know what? On a different year, it could have been game of the year.
Cool, man.
So
I don't know if I knew this about the other one, but Stig Asmussen, who is he worked on all of the God of Wars basically. So from God of War 1, God of War 1, 2, and then he ended up being the director of God of War 3. So David Jaffe was number 1, Cory Barlog was number 2, and then he took the reins as head director for God of War 3. He is the head director of both Fallen Order as well as Jedi Survivor, which is pretty fucking awesome. So the guy is an absolute legend, especially in the video game realm. So
which makes a lot of sense of the caliber, like the God of War level of caliber from 3 and 4, and like the new ones, obviously. though those cinematic, impactful moments really do carry through into this series.
Dope, man. That is it, big guy. Episode 48 in the books, in the wraps. We have done it. So once again, thank you all for listening to the episode of Growing Up Gaming, the podcast. Once again, please check out YouTube at Growing Up Gaming. We also got Twitter. Check out growingupgaming.com. Brandon, the media empire is expanding. So we are growing one day at a time, and we could not do it without all of your absolutely incredible support. So if you would let us know what you think about any of the games that we talked about today. What do we think about Nintendo Switch? What do we think about Baldur's Gate 3? What do we think about Jedi Survivor? And again, please go out there, check out Venba, give it a download, make some dope ass cooking, and that's it, my friend. Just spread some love. So with that is all from me, Brandon, on episode 48. Thank you all again. And Brandon, quick rack up. Let's take it home.
I think you guys have heard a lot of my voice in that review. So Mikey said it best. Keep your ears tuned for the updates on the socials and the big changes coming to the GUG Nation, including our website and some more fun tidbits along the way. And on that note, tune in next week for what will likely end up being a little bit of a Game of the Year watch episode, dissecting some of the banger fucking hits that we have had with the multiple 10 out of 10s being given by multiple critics and all that other good shit.
Yes, sir.
Come get it.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
So hopefully you're not sick of us and you'll come back next week.
Buddy, of course they will. Of course.
Yes.
Otherwise,
and go check out the TMNT website. Speak your mind on the controversies.
Otherwise, we break them.
What was that?
Nothing. Just go.
Yeah, it's all good. Fuck it. We're landing this plane. All right, guys. On that note, as always, thanks for stopping by.